Hello learners, today's video module is on tourist transport marketing. You see, accessibility through various modes of transport is one of the major consideration of the tourist resources of a destination, say a country, a region, etc. In tourism, there are 3 A's and some have extended to 5 A's also, which are attraction, then accommodation, accessibility, which means transportation, and activities and amenities. So in this basic 5 A's, accessibility is one of the major component. And it would be impossible for tourists to visit tourist sites without transportation. Obviously, when a tourist wants to visit another destination, a means of transport is the first thing he or she needs to leave his home turf and reach the destination of visit. This is understandable. Now, the modes of tourist transport, it can be airlines, railways, water transport. In this, luxury liners are there, the steamers are there. And in road transport, which includes, say, buses, coaches and cars, etc. Thus, a fast, comfortable, secure and convenient mode of transport would immensely assist in development of tourism and drawing tourists to a destination. Now, tourist transport is a part of the tourism product, although it is a separate industry with its own market, problems and operations. See, every industry has got its own problems and operations. Likewise, even in the transport industry also, it has its own issues. Now, the transport industry has to face the challenges by offering a suitable means of transport as per the requirements of the tourists. And say in the previous 3 videos, we have already covered airlines marketing. So in this video modules, we shall emphasize upon the road transport. So after this session, you will be able to understand the tourist transport product characteristics. What are the features which a tourist transport product has? Then you would also know the tourist transport market segment, then the tourist transport product types. Then we will also learn about the issues related to product design, that is the product designing of the tourist transport product, especially related to road transport. Then you would also appreciate the importance of quality control. This is very important. And we would also draw upon the promotion and the selling of tourist transport services along with the types of the distribution channels. So from the point of view of the tourist market, the road transport preferred by tourists, like it is consists of buses, coaches, then even in among the coaches also you have the deluxe coaches, taxis and car rentals. Buses and tourist coaches are popular modes for intercity travel, sightseeing within the destination and in many cases for package tours also. Then there is rent a car facility provided by auto rental companies, which is another mode of transport. And this facilitates the tourist to rent a car at designated sites, like it is stationed around airports, then railway station, etc. And then they can drive around. So there is a vast market in all these categories of road transport, tourist transport in relation to various types of tourism. Or say, for example, many bus operators, they provide their services for pilgrimage. Then air-conditioned coaches, they are preferred by tourists for intercity transport, like say if you have to travel from Delhi to Jaipur or from Delhi to Manali or to Amritsar and so on. And if you are talking about the wildlife safaris, then open jeeps may be preferred. So the services of tourist transporters are also required by the tour operators in packaging their tours for the purpose of inner city tours as well as for intercity tours. For example, in a destination, when you reach Delhi, then to go to the various tourist monuments and for sightseeing to the various monuments and the other attraction, obviously you need some sort of transportation, and this is where we call as the inner city tours. Now, road transportation, it comes under surface transport, and while road transport is one component, the other major one is the railway transport. So as far as the railways are concerned, the transport product, in many cases, they have been designed and developed keeping in view the tourists besides catering to the normal railway passengers. In India, the railway is the major mode for which passenger transport. Then the luxury trains like the Royal Orient, the Deccan Odyssey, the Fairy Queen, etc., which are managed by the Indian Railways and the Indian Railways Catering and Tourism Corporation, or the IRCTC, they can be cited as example of tourist trains. Then we also have the Bharat Darshan train, which is again an important tourist train and covers some of India's most important tourist destination. Then there are trains which cover specific pilgrimage sites. Then superfast trains like the Rajdhani and the Shatabdi, they also facilitate fast movement of tourists. So the Indian Railways, again, they also offer Indirail passes to foreign tourists, again separate tourist car carriages for group movement, and even round trip tickets to domestic tourists also. IRCTC, they also have their own package tours which they give to the tourists. Now, as far as a customer categories is concerned, the customer of the tourist transport can be categorized on a variety of bases according to the tourism motivation and the segment. So a customer for a tourist transport operator, it can be a tour operator, because we said when tour operators are designing their tours or packaging their tours, they need means of transportation, a hotel, a travel agency, or directly the tourist. So the tourist or the consumer can be segmented in a variety of ways, and the size of the market can be determined on the basis of discretionary income. Discretionary income, as you know, is the income which is left with a person after all the basic needs have been fulfilled. So you are free to spend it on other activities, and when we are thinking of spending apart from the basic needs, travel always comes to mind. It is a major category where people spend the discretionary income. Then travel patterns, purpose of visit, and the frequency of travel. There are, you see, low budget tourists, and then there are high up budget tourists with different requirements in terms of their spending capacity, which also gets translated into differing expectations of facilities and comfort level of travel, which means for the people who are paying huge amount of money, or we categorize them as up budget tourists, obviously they will have much better expectation of the facilities in relation to the prices that they are paying, and when you compare it with the low budget tourists. So you see, segmentation, you know, it is the process of dividing a heterogeneous market into segments of potential customers with similar characteristics and similar purchase behavior. And it is a powerful means by which firms come to know their markets, and then they excel in a highly competitive market. When you have segmented a target market, then it is easy for you to fulfill the needs and the demands of that specific group of a specific target market, because of the similarities in the needs and demand of the people who are categorized or who are segmented into that market segment. Now, a tourist transport operator also has to take into account the various segments of the market for the business operation purpose, and accordingly they decide the target market. Tourist transporter, they have to cater to three distinct markets. One is the domestic market, the international tourist market, and the day visitor. Now, Each of this market has to be further analyzed and segmented into meaningful target groups, taking into account, say, the socio-demographic profile or the socio-economic profile, then the travel motivations, etc. So the product range offered by a tourist transporter is diverse and would need product representation to appeal to different segments. Each segment is capable of being measured in terms of potential investment and profitability. Now, this is very important. If there is no profit in the business that you are running, then there is the objective of the organization or the goals of the organization will not be met. This also helps the tourist transporter in terms of investment or allocation of resources. So at the same time, a tourist transport operator has to take into account the routes on which he would like to operate and the category of tourists that he would like to cater to, whether it will be up budget or the low budget. And then you have to pick out the target market group out of that. There are tour operators who hires the tourist transport according to the wants and needs of their own customer, and the same is applicable in the case of hotels, say, then travel agencies, convention industry, institutions, associations, or other corporate clients. And a certain amount of market research, it is essential for selecting the target market, and the transport operator, while knowing the regular clientele, they need to judge the traffic that they are turning away or are losing. Now, this helps in filling the empty seats and increasing the profitability. In the tourist transport business, seasonality, again, it plays a very vital role in deciding the target market. Practically all aspects related to seasonal marketing are also relevant in the tourist transport marketing. For example, September and to March, it is the tourist season for international tourists in India. And even within this, there are monthly variations. But generally, this is the time when the tourist transport operator where the tourist transport demand is on the increase. And the problem faced by tourist transport operator is for the off-season period. During the peak season, they have the demand is really high, but during the off-season, when less number of tourists are coming, then they have a problem in meeting the target or in say selling the tickets for all the seats in that transport vehicle. And so in order to have an optimal utilization of their product, hence the market to be targeted during the lean period, it consists of domestic tourists, for we know that in say in the month of May and June, almost in all the states and union territories of India, the summer vacation is there in educational institution, and obviously the domestic travel, it goes up. Similarly, pilgrimage travel, it is also high during this period, that is during the summer season. And here the tourist transporters, keeping in mind the product that has been designed for the international traveler, now they have to match it with the requirements of those tourists who can afford the luxurious travel. And once again, a close linkage has to be established with the domestic tour operators in order to cater to this market. Now, since tourism is essentially packaging of the services and attraction of the various players in the business, a tourist transport operator has to take into account the forecast and the projection of the other partners in this business. So these forecasts are not only useful for the purposes of making plans or making decisions regarding the operational aspects, but they also help in allocating the resources and the product design and in decision making related to the routes to be operated. Now let us discuss about the product design and development, how a tourist transport product needs to be designed and developed. See, a tourist transport operator has to follow the basic principle of marketing, that is of providing the right product at the right price in the right place at the right time. Hence, the product that has to be designed and developed must be market oriented. Then the analysis of product market match is a continuous exercise, it is continuing exercise, and it must be taken into account. Now there is a detailed study and classification of all resources for all services needs to be done, and the marketing objectives or the marketing goals that you have set, it should support that. Victor T.C. Middleton, who is a renowned author and researcher in tourism, he has mentioned that the marketing decision of the transport operators, they are influenced by their response to 6 specific external factors, over most of which we have very limited control. He listed the 6 factors. One is vehicle technology. There is a major innovations which are coming up. Then information technology, regulatory environment, price of fuel, then economic growth or decline, national and international economy, the exchange rate fluctuations. So all these factors, they influence the product design and development in relation to the services offered by the tourist transport operator. For example, let's say the capabilities of vehicles like the sitting capacity, the speed, the size, fuel efficiency, etc. They are not under our control, or they are not under the control of the tourist transport operator, but they do affect the customer choice and profitability. Tourist transport operator, it has to improve upon the original core product through value addition. For example, the tapestry or the cushion to be provided on the seats of a coach, then the audio system to be installed for the use by an escort or a city tour guide, etc. Then every country has its own regulatory control for both domestic as well as international movement of vehicles. So for example, in India, permits have to be obtained for tourist vehicles, and the rates and tariffs vary from route to route as well as from state to state. Now this have a bearing on the pricing, the policy and the profitability of a tourist transport company. See, the price of fuel is directly related to the economy of a country and is determined with the stages of economic growth or decline. So this has a direct bearing on the tourist transport operator. Now, various aspects related to product designing are relevant for designing the tourist transport product. Once a tourist transport company has done its market research and settled on the target market, the product has to be accordingly designed and created. Both tangible and intangible aspects are crucial in product design, and the effort should be to increase the tangible aspects for providing better services. So this may include, for example, a better get-up of the coach, quality cushion and tapestry for the seats, proper lighting, etc. These are things which you can see, so that is why we call them as tangible. Then the intangible aspects, it depends upon the quality of the customer care shown by the service providing staff. For example, the driving capability of the driver, which affects the customer satisfaction to a large extent. The coach may be brand new with all the comforts, but if the driver is driving rashly, applies brakes too often or suddenly, then the customer will feel uncomfortable and nervous in the hands of such a driver. So this is not a good experience that they will be having. Thus, the company, in spite of having invested so much in a good coach or a bus, would earn a bad image because of the poor service by the driver. So this is again an important issue to be considered. A tourist transport operator has to take note of all the 5 product levels. This you have aware of now. We have the core benefit, the generic product, expected product, augmented product and potential product. These are the 5 levels of product. Now, besides design, presentation, then the quality, the eco-friendliness and smooth operation are the other ingredients associated with the product. A tourist transport operator has to adopt both market orientation as well as societal marketing orientation while designing the transport product. A marketing orientation, it holds that the main task of the organization is to determine the needs and wants of the target market and to satisfy them through the designed communication, pricing and delivery of appropriate and competitively viable products and services, which means the consumer is at the center or the focus of the marketing activity. Now, the societal marketing concept, As you know, it is an extension of the marketing concept with the additional concentration on activities that protects and preserves apart from the customer's well-being, but also that of the community at large. So the difference between the marketing and the societal marketing orientation is that it is in marketing only the consumer is the focal point, whereas in the societal marketing orientation, both the consumer as well as the community at large are at the center point. In addition to the marketing orientation, why we need the societal marketing orientation is because of the increased level of awareness in general about things and situation, which is detrimental or harmful in the long run. Now, another reason, it is the rise of the responsible tourism concept, wherein tourists are looking for ways where they can contribute. For example, many tourists might object to or refuse to travel in a vehicle which creates air pollution. For designing or improving upon their own product, the transport operator, besides taking into account the customer needs, has to go for competitive analysis also. Take for example the case of a tourist taxi service. A company catering the market will have to analyze how many companies are providing the service, what type of cars they are using, what is the condition of their cars, what kind of skills their drivers have, how much commission they are offering to them, through whom they deliver their product, etc. So you have to do a SWOT analysis not only on your company but also on the offering as well as your competitors in the market. And it is on this basis that the company will offer, augment or improve their own product for establishing a better image in the market. So in this case, both differentiation and positioning matter a lot. Then another step towards product development is to exploit new markets and create new streams of traffic for future growth as a basic market endeavor. This we refer to as market development strategies, since it involves attempts to securing market share in markets not currently being served. In addition to the existing infrastructure and services, there will always be scope for new investments. So new markets will always come up, and it is up to the entrepreneur to decide to scale the opportunity and then venture into it. Now, product design and development, further it gets linked to pricing, and in the transport sector a variety of factors that affect the pricing strategies. For example, say transport regulation may restrict the price level, and off-season or a group travel may require special discounts, etc. Then another type of strategy is market penetration strategy. A typical market penetration strategy dictates that an organization seeks to gain greater dominance in a market in which it already has an offering, achieving this through promotion or advertising and thus increasing the brand recognition. Price-based promotion are the most popular form of promotions in travel and tourism. This is because the use of specific modes of transport is elastic. That is, the higher the cost of transport, the less likely a consumer is to utilize the mode of transport. But if you look at the up-budget tourist, then this case does not arise. So when we are saying the modes of transport is elastic, we are referring to the general trend in the market. Demand for transportation, it is also affected by the relationship between the price charged and the income level of the traveler. So pleasure travel is income elastic, that is, the demand for travel is affected by changes in the traveler's income. Then pleasure travel is discretionary, that is, the traveler has a choice of whether or not to travel, because an increase in price may mean that the traveler would postpone the vacation. So this situation is also possible. When we talk about any tourism product, there should be a stress or a focus on the quality and the operation control. A reputed tourist transport company also must pay a lot of attention to the quality of service, which is very much closely linked to operational controls. Two aspects needs constant attention in this regard. Firstly, the service rendered by the driver, which depends on the driver's individual skills of driving, then the route knowledge, mannerisms, alertness, agencies, then communication skills, presentation and personality. Now this requires constant training and upgradation. Secondly, the briefing and directions given to drivers by the supervisory staff of the company, besides providing necessary documentation, etc., for operating on the various routes, is another important aspect. So it is not only upon the skills of the driver, it is also on what type of briefings that you are giving to the service staff. So how do drivers handle the vehicles, that the vehicle maintenance and fitness are some other aspects for which operational controls are necessary. A highly professional approach is required in this regard, and even the most leading companies, they feel handicapped in applying these operational controls. Tourist transport, being a major component of the tourism industry, has to depend on the other components like the tour operators, the travel agents and the hotels, etc., for effective coverage of the market and distribution of products and services. Now, what does it mean? This means that there is an interlinkage between the various service providers to provide the tourism experience. Now, this calls for establishing close link among the various constituents of the tourism industry themselves in order to promote their business. Thus, promotions and sales are dependent on individual contacts and business relationship with the major clients. You are aware that the tour operators, they draw upon the product and services of tourist transport operators for packaging their own product, and so do the travel agencies. They see the travel agencies and the tour operators. Obviously, they need the tourist transport. Hence, the promotional effort of the tourist transporters are geared more towards this segment, that is the tour operators and the travel agencies, rather than promoting their products directly to the tourists. So direct promotion to the tourists is done in the case of individual or smaller group requirements like car rentals or tourist taxi services. And for this, the tool adopted include putting up of hoardings at the entry points like airports, railway station, bus terminals, or maybe even outside the hotels. Then advertising on social media, it has become very common tool for promotion. Then travel magazines, yellow pages, tourist guidebooks, then tourist directories is another other tools which are used for marketing and promotional aspect. Then the tourist transport operators have their own association for safeguarding or promoting their interests. At the same time, they also seek membership of other bodies like the Travel Agents Association and the Tour Operators Association to increase their business relationship, because this is where they are getting that chunk of their business. So obviously it makes sense to take membership in association of such market segment and be associated with them, so they know who are the clients and how to approach them. And in order to promote their products and services, they also participate in travel marts, as they provide an opportunity for establishing business relationship, not only business relationship, but also for networking. And the more people you know, the more business people who are in your same line of business, it is important to establish that network, to form that connection. And only then will you can through word of mouth is a very important marketing tool. So through word of mouth, your business facilities may be sent out to other related business associates. So let us try to sum up what we have learned in this module so far. See, the tourist transport business, it is an independent activity, no doubt, but it is also to be seen in the overall context of the tourism product. And a sound knowledge of the marketing concepts and practice is essential for successfully running this business. The job is not just to provide transportation facilities, but also to ensure quality of the service. Now, understanding the market, then selecting target market, establishing linkages with the producers of tourist transport like tour operators, travel agencies, etc., and understanding their requirements for designing appropriate products and services are vital for building your own company's image and securing more business. Constant upgradation of services with the aim of remaining ahead of your competitors should be the motto in this trade. Then marketing has the task of ensuring that there is sufficient demand to utilize fully the supply of equipment and facilities. So it must also ensure that there is enough of the right kind of supply to meet the demand of the passengers. You must also remember that the large chunk of tourist budget is spent on travel, and the image of the destination, tour operator, tour agency, etc. is very closely linked with the type of service provided by the tourist transport operator. So the tourist transport operator, it should up its game and know all the nuances of running this business. So I hope you have been able to clear many of the doubts which you had regarding the tourist transport marketing. See you in the next session.